Avvalambor Xudoga shukr, alhamdulillah deyman. Har doim meni qo'llab-quvvatlagan meni jamoam, ota-onam, do'stlarim, akalarim, mana shu xalqimiz meni qo'llab-quvvatlab, duolar qilishyapti. Har doim ularga rahmatimni aytaman. Biz kuchli, tez, aqlli bo'lib qaytdik. Xudo xolasa hammasi yaxshi bo'ladi inshaalloh.
Murodjon Akhmadaliev has kicked off training camp for his fight against Naoya Inoue, and you can already tell he is taking things seriously. The gym sessions are intense, the pace is non-stop, and each workout is designed to sharpen a different part of his game. Let's take a look at the exercises he's been grinding through. First up is sparring. This is where everything comes together, because it is the closest thing to an actual fight. Murodjon uses these sessions to test his timing, practice his combinations, and push his stamina against live opponents. Every round forces him to adjust, react, and keep his hands sharp, which is exactly what he needs to deal with someone as dangerous as Inoue. Then there's shadow boxing, but with a twist. He straps resistance bands to his hands, making every punch harder to throw and even harder to pull back. It looks simple, but this kind of training makes his arms burn and build speed at the same time. Once the bands come off, his hands feel lighter and his punches fly out faster than before. On the treadmill, Murodjon focuses on building his gas tank. Running at different speeds keeps his body guessing, and it prepares him for the moments in a fight where he might need to suddenly burst forward or backpedal out of danger. This steady grind is what makes sure he can last all 12 rounds if needed. Strength training is also a big part of his routine. He works with weights, hammering out deadlifts to build power through his legs and core. Then he takes dumbbells in each hand and jumps while moving them up and down, training both explosiveness and endurance. These workouts aren't about bulking up, but about giving him the strength to push opponents around in the ring. Another drill he uses is the medicine ball throw. He hurls a 3-kilogram ball against the wall and catches it over and over again. It might look repetitive, but this helps his body generate force from the ground up, just like when throwing punches. It's a way of turning raw strength into explosive punching power. Finally, footwork drills keep him light on his toes. He moves in every direction, sharpening his balance, speed, and ability to cut angles. Inoue is quick and dangerous, so Murodjon knows he needs to control the ring, and this kind of training makes sure he can glide across the canvas instead of getting stuck in one place. After seeing how hard Murodjon is pushing himself in camp, it's no surprise that even boxing minds like Teddy Atlas have been paying close attention. Atlas didn't just talk about Inoue, he spent a good amount of time praising Akhmadaliev and the way he fights, and you could tell he genuinely respects what MJ brings to the ring.
You know, I'm always talking about the
Work
fighters.
smarter, not harder.
Yeah, the experience. That's experience. MJ. I'll say it again. MJ. And I'm not talking about Michael Jordan.
Atlas pointed out that Akhmadaliev isn't the type to waste punches. He called him smart, patient, and very calculated. The kind of fighter who knows how to control the pace and wait for the perfect opening. That style, according to Atlas, is exactly what makes him such an intriguing matchup for Inoue, because MJ doesn't walk into traps easily and makes his opponents think twice before rushing in.
What's he, 15-1 now?
He's 14-1 now with 11 knockouts, and since his only loss, he has won 3 fights in a row, all 3 by knockout now.
Yeah, his only loss was a split decision to a former world champion, Taplius.
Yes, a 2-weight world champion. That loss, as you said, came in 2023, Marlon Tapoulis.
And it was a split decision. Look, this guy is a guy with the amateur background. He's got the amateur pedigree. This is a mature, serious, solid guy. Physically strong. He's a southpaw. He's a good puncher. He doesn't waste anything. He's very deliberate in his approach. He slowly, takes the air out of the room by carefully putting pressure on. He's not reckless. He's got good legs. He controls range really well, going in and out, changing range. That helps him defensively. It helps him offensively.
He also highlighted the way Akhmadaliev uses his legs and distance. Atlas loved how MJ kept opponents guessing with his footwork, always knowing when to step in and when to step out. He praised that discipline, saying it could force Inoue to adjust and maybe even slow him down in moments. To Atlas, that kind of patience and accuracy is what gives MJ a real chance to make things complicated.
He doesn't waste anything. As my son said, got good eyes. He places punches really accurately, especially to the body. He throws a beautiful left uppercut to the liver. Beautiful. From the southpaw position. Usually you see that punch from the orthodox position with the conventional left hook to the liver. He does it with a left uppercut to the liver. He gets range. He delivers it again very accurately, flawlessly. He is a serious guy. He's not the busiest guy in the world, but that makes him a problem too. I gotta laugh. One of the commentators, I don't know who the guy was, but the blow-by-blow guy, I had to laugh when he said, "Oh, hey, this would never work against Inoue." What are you talking about?
At the same time, Atlas was honest about the risks. He noticed that if MJ pulls back too many times in a row, it gives Inoue the chance to close in and land something big. But instead of framing it as a weakness, he almost said it like a challenge, as if he believes MJ has the skill to handle it if he stays sharp.
The one thing I see a problem with his legs, and I gave him nothing but kudos for his legs. Now I got to give him a little correction. His legs are good, but he goes back too many steps in a row back. He'll go back 2-3 steps in a row. You don't do that. You don't do that. When you go back 2-3 steps in a row, you give a guy like Inoue and he'll pick up on it. Oh my goodness, he'll pick up on it fast. Where he'll follow you. He'll follow you tight. Not follow you loose where you go back and you can counter him coming in, but he'll follow you tight. Whereas you go back 2-3 in a row, you're still in that track, you're still on that path of straight in front of him, he'll catch you. You should go back one step, then counter, then get off to the side, then move your head, something. But you can't go back 2 or 3 in a row. With the wrong fighter, you could pay a price, and Inoue would probably be the wrong fighter too.
More than anything, you could tell Atlas admired MJ's brain inside the ring. He described him as a fighter who doesn't just rely on power, but mixes strategy with timing. That's what got Atlas excited about this fight. For him, it's not just Inoue's power on display, it's the chess match with Akhmadaliev's smarts that makes this such a must-watch battle.
That's what I saw. He does zero in on the left. He'll throw the right hook too, which could be the most dangerous punch for a southpaw because orthodox fighters aren't used to seeing the right hook come from the peripheral that it comes from with the southpaw. So that could be a dangerous punch. He uses that too, but he loves the left hand to the body and then down the middle. That is his go-to. That's his go-to. That's the one he's looking to catch you with. And Inoue's going to know that. Inoue's going to look to take that away from him. But I give him a shot in that fight.
Now, Eddie Hearn is someone who has pushed harder than anyone to make this fight happen. There are countless interviews of him calling out Inoue's team, trying to get them to commit because as MJ's promoter, he knows exactly what kind of spirit Akhmadaliev brings to the table. And yet, for months, there was silence from Inoue's side. Even 6 months ago, in one of his interviews, Hearn spoke about it. He explained that Inoue was defending his world titles against Ramon Cardenas instead of facing MJ. When asked if the Akhmadaliev fight could still happen later in the year, Hearn stayed positive. He said he didn't want to go too hard on Inoue because negotiations were still in play. What he made clear, though, was that the WBA belt wouldn't be on the line unless a deal was made, and that meant the fight wouldn't be for the undisputed crown.
Cardenas, do you think we will see the MJ fight later this year?
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not going to go too hard on Inoue. Because we're trying to negotiate the Akhmadaliev fight. Of course, the WBA belt will not be on the line. That fight will not be undisputed unless we do a deal.
Hearn went on to say that Team MJ wasn't interested in stepping aside just so Inoue could take another fight. The only fight worth stepping aside for would be Inoue himself. He pointed out that the relationship with Inoue's camp, Mr. Honda, and the Japanese team was good, and he believed they were close to reaching a solution that would give Akhmadaliev a fair shot. Most importantly, Hearn underlined that this fight is something fans have been waiting for. He called it a fight they've wanted for a long time and described it as a huge moment for boxing if it came together. He stressed that it wasn't just MJ chasing Inoue, it was also the matchup fight fans deserved, the one that could decide the true undisputed champion.
And we don't want to step aside to allow that fight. We'll step aside to fight Inoue. So hopefully, we have a great relationship with the team out there and Mr. Honda and everybody, and we're pretty close to getting a decent resolution for MJ that will ultimately see him fight for the undisputed championship against Inoue later in the year.
And now it's finally happening. After all the back and forth and the waiting, Eddie Hearn made it clear how big this moment is. He said straight up that Inoue versus MJ is one of the very best fights in boxing. Hearn even admitted he has to give Inoue credit for agreeing to it, because according to him, there were people around Inoue who didn't want that matchup at all. Hearn joked that maybe he pushed them enough to finally take it, and he's glad they did because he sees this as a true 50-50 fight. In his words, it's the two best fighters in the division facing each other, which makes it the best fight the division could possibly offer. And he added that they're looking forward to going to Japan in September to make it happen, a stage worthy of a fight this important.
Yeah, I'll tell you something, Inoue against MJ is one of the best fights in boxing, and I have to respect Inoue for taking it because the people around him didn't want to take that fight, and I kind of feel like I goaded them enough to take it, and I'm very pleased they took it because I see it as a 50-50 fight. Two best fighters in the division, the best fight in the division, and we're looking forward to being in Japan in September for that fight.
The reason Eddie even calls this fight a 50-50 is that Naoya Inoue hasn't been taking it lightly either. Just like MJ, he's been locked in, training non-stop and pushing his body to the limit. One of his main tools is the heavy bag. You can see the way he smashes it with power and precision, working on those combinations that have knocked out so many opponents. It isn't just about hitting hard either. He mixes in speed, angles, and movement to make sure every punch is sharp. The sound of his shots echoing off the bag is enough to remind you why he's called the Monster. Then there's his cardio, which might be even more brutal. Inoue has been spotted doing intense conditioning, like sprinting up hundreds of stairs and then running back down, only to repeat it again and again. It's the kind of training that empties your lungs and burns your legs, but it's what gives him that gas tank to keep throwing power punches deep into the later rounds. That kind of grind is exactly why Eddie Hearn believes Inoue will show up at his absolute best, making the fight as close to even as it gets. Now we've got Murodjon Akhmadaliev sharpening every part of his game, and Naoya Inoue grinding through brutal sessions of his own. Both fighters are putting in the kind of work that shows just how much this fight means to them. It's all set for September in Japan, and no matter which way it goes, this one feels special. A fight where skill, power, and heart will all be tested at the highest level. Let us know in the comments below who you think comes out on top, MJ or Inoue.